Do you remember the winter of 2009? Back then, convincing audiences to go to the theater to watch a 3-hour-long movie about blue aliens was considered by the media to be a crazy gamble for James Cameron. But then, the moment we put on those heavy 3D glasses, taking our first steps into the bioluminescent flora of Pandora, all doubts vanished. Cinema truly changed that very night. For me, it was not just a movie, but a perfect escapist experience that perhaps many of us still hold on to with a completely overwhelming feeling. But the magic of Avatar was not entirely born from giant computers. Its greatness was actually shaped by sweat, unexpected accidents on set, and even off-script moments that almost ruined the project. Today, let us pour a cup of coffee, sit down, and travel back in time. We will uncover 15 hidden secrets and unexpected incidents, the very human pieces that turned a sci-fi gamble into a cinematic legend. The romantic handprint hidden on the chest of Neytiri. Let us come to a romantic detail so deeply hidden it is almost invisible. In the final act of the movie, when the battle to defend the Tree of Souls is at its fiercest, the warrior design of Neytiri is truly majestic. But if you have sharp eyes and zoom in closely on her chest, you will see a white war paint mark in the shape of a hand. Wait, let us count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exactly 5 fingers. As we analyzed in secret number 4, the Na'vi only have 4 fingers. So this 5-fingered hand could only belong to one single person, Jake Sully. That is not just war paint, that is a vow, a protective touch, affirming their love and life or death bond right before stepping into the path of war. Oh my God! Knowing this detail naturally makes their love story seem 1,000 times deeper and more romantic, right? 2, having to wait 15 years to film because technology was too poor. Young people today are used to CGI exploding every year. But did you know Avatar was actually a shelved project for a shockingly long time? James Cameron had actually finished penning the 80-page script way back in 1994, which is even before the classic Titanic set sail on screen. However, his imagination was way ahead of its time. Computer graphics in the 90s were simply not advanced enough to breathe life into the brilliant world of Pandora. He had to bitterly tuck the script into a drawer. It was not until 7 years later, when he saw the chillingly lifelike character Gollum in The Lord of the Rings in 2001, that the fire in Cameron blazed up again. "The technology is ripe," he must have exclaimed. "This grand patience truly commands my respect." How many people dare to nurture a dream for 15 long years just waiting for a perfect moment? 3, the most expensive phone call in Hollywood history, losing $600 million. Tell the truth. Have you ever tossed and turned at 2 in the morning and tormented yourself over a past mistake? Like missing a juicy investment opportunity or turning down a great job. Now multiply that pain by about 600 million times. Back in the glorious years of the 2000s, James Cameron almost begged Matt Damon to take the role of Jake Sully. The legendary director even put a crazy deal on the negotiating table. 10% of the project total box office revenue. But our guy Matt at that time was busy with the Jason Bourne franchise and flatly said, "No, thank you, sir." You know the ending. Avatar swept global theaters, pocketing approximately $3 billion. That silly refusal turned Matt Damon into the man who missed out on the biggest personal paycheck in Hollywood history. Exactly $600 million flying out the window. Recently, in an interview, Matt still had to smile bitterly and call himself the dumbest guy. I swear, if I accidentally lost enough money to buy a whole tropical island and a private helicopter fleet just because of a scheduling conflict, I would probably cry for a whole decade. What about you? If you were Matt Damon, could you sleep well every time you saw an Avatar poster on the street? 4, the startling detail distinguishing Na'vi and Avatars. Honestly, how many times have you binge-watched this masterpiece? 2, 3, or even dozens of times like me. But I bet 99% of us were so blinded by the gorgeous beauty of Pandora that we missed this chillingly subtle biological Easter egg. Next time you watch the movie, try to pause and look very closely. Pureblood Na'vi, like our sharp Neytiri, actually only have 4 fingers, 4 toes, and especially, absolutely no eyebrows. Meanwhile, the Avatars, which are lab-bred bodies mixed with human DNA, like those of Jake or Dr. Grace, retain the Earth genome with a full 5 fingers, 5 toes, and a proper pair of eyebrows. Just such a tiny detail is enough to show how terrifyingly obsessed James Cameron is with details. He did not simply draw an alien species, but also built an incredibly logical genetic system for them. Come on, confess. You are secretly opening a new tab to search images of Neytiri and Jake to verify it yourself, right? Whoever was keen-eyed enough to spot this crazy difference right from their first theatrical viewing, raise your hand in the comments section so I can bow to you. 5. Monster sounds recycled from Jurassic Park dinosaurs. Come on. Now close your eyes and perk up your ears a bit. Do you remember the extreme thrill when Jake was chased for his life through the forest by the Black Panther like Beast Thanator? Or the chilling growls of the Viper Wolf pack? If you feel a familiar sensation creeping into your childhood memories, there is nothing wrong with your hearing. The Avatar sound team actually borrowed legendary audio files from the blockbuster Jurassic Park. The roar of the Thanator is the authentic sound of the famous T-Rex, while the Viper Wolf pack cries with the voices of the cunning velociraptors. What a peak recycling move by Hollywood. Next time you play the movie, try to listen very carefully. Borrowing these sounds makes me wonder, in the cinematic universe, could Pandora be an alien version of a dinosaur park? Did anyone recognize this auditory Easter egg right from their first theatrical viewing? 6. The Na'vi language is a living language. One thing that always makes me extremely allergic to B-list sci-fi movies is the scene where alien actors just mumble meaningless sounds and expect the audience to believe it is a language. James Cameron would never accept such sloppiness. His heart that loves perfection forced him to invite Paul Frommer, a veteran linguistics professor from the University of Southern California, to his team. The mission of this professor, to create a completely new language system for the Na'vi, with a strict grammatical structure, distinct pronunciation rules, and a vocabulary of over 1,000 words. It is truly a living language, which can be learned and communicated with, just like Elvish in The Lord of the Rings. This obsessively meticulous investment is exactly the reason why the world of Pandora is so authentic. Is anyone here free enough to have ever tried looking up and learning a few Na'vi sentences to show off to friends? 7. The cigarette of Dr. Grace is fake. If you are a die-hard fan of classic sci-fi movies, you will surely find the image of Dr. Grace, played by star Sigourney Weaver, puffing on a cigarette, looking very cool and familiar. The cigarette smoke swirling around her scowling face perfectly portrays a scientist under extreme pressure, reckless and extremely prickly. But here is the plot twist that will make you fall backward. That entire cigarette and even that hazy smoke are 100% fakes drawn by computer. James Cameron has an ironclad rule. He bitterly hates promoting real smoking on set and worries about the health of the crew. But because the character personality required having a cigarette on her lips, the visual effects team had to toil away, drawing every stream of smoke in the most manual way. Come to think of it, being a Hollywood actor is sometimes quite tiring, pinching 2 fingers in the air and acting chill like it is real. Have you ever been fooled by this invisible CGI cigarette over the past decade? 8. A nail gun on set. For punishment. Moving on to a highly shocking behind-the-scenes secret, anyone who has ever worked in video production or stepped onto a professional set understands the absolute frustration when an uninvited phone ringtone goes off and ruins the entire emotional flow of a scene. But with James Cameron, he did not just frown or yell, he elevated punishment to a new level with a strong Hollywood action style. To ensure 100% focus on the world of Pandora, this genius but notoriously dictatorial director always carried a nail gun on set. The unwritten rule was extremely clear. If your phone happened to beep while the camera was rolling, Cameron would coldly walk over, confiscate it, and bang. He would nail the device straight to the wall, leaving it dangling as a warning made of steel. Think about it. Watching your expensive phone blink into a wall-mounted installation art piece is definitely a gut-wrenching nightmare. But perhaps it is exactly that extreme strictness that is enough to mold a $3 billion masterpiece perfect in every frame. Imagine if your boss also applied this nail gun rule at the workplace every time you forgot to put your phone on silent. How many days do you think your beloved phone would survive? Confess now. 9. The entire film crew was forced to go vegan. Have you ever gone to work and been forced by your company to go on a diet? With a passionately eco-friendly director like James Cameron, he did not just bring the message of protecting nature to the screen, but also applied it thoroughly in real life. Because Avatar is a heartfelt letter to Mother Nature, Cameron, who is a true vegan himself, issued a strict ban on all meat dishes on set. This means hundreds of people in the crew, from the lead actors to the sweating logistics porters, all had to enjoy a 100% vegan menu every day. It sounds a bit harsh, but thinking about it, this action truly reflects the absolute consistency between the art and real life of the director. Imagine the muscular Sam Worthington having to fuel up with salad and tofu instead of a juicy steak. If it were you, could you survive the grueling months of filming with an all-vegetable menu? 0. The male lead was living in a car when auditioning. In stark contrast to the missed billionaire Matt Damon above, the journey of Sam Worthington into the world of Pandora is the most unbelievable and emotional real-life footage. Can you believe it? Right before that fateful audition day, Sam had truly hit rock bottom. This unknown Australian actor made a crazy decision, selling off every single asset he owned, buying a beat-up old Toyota Corolla, and turning it into his mobile home. That is right, the male lead of the $3 billion blockbuster once had to curl up and sleep on the steering wheel. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. Imagine the night before you were still struggling in a dilapidated parking lot, and suddenly, the next day, the nod from legend James Cameron not only handed you a ticket to the peak of fame, but also directly saved you from homelessness. Honestly, every time I rewatch the scene where Jake Sully bursts with joy, using his avatar legs to run his first steps and breathe the air of freedom, I always feel like those were the real tears and emotions of Sam when he held his first check. What about you? If you were pushed into a corner with only a clunky car as your last asset, would you dare to go all in and bet on a pipe dream like he did? Come here and share your thoughts in the comments section. The shriveled legs of Jake Sully are 100% real. Do you remember the gloomy opening scene of the movie? The sight of former Marine Jake Sully sitting quietly in a wheelchair with lifeless, shriveled legs? Tell the truth. For all these years, have you been exactly like me, convinced that in a blockbuster drowning in computer graphics like Avatar, those legs must be 100% the product of CGI magic? Well, we have been spectacularly fooled by Mr. Cameron again. In reality, those disabled legs are 100% real. Instead of pouring tons of money and hundreds of hours rendering soulless graphics, the director made a highly practical decision. He hired John McInnes, a stuntman who is actually paralyzed from the waist down in real life. The visual effects team only had to skillfully graft the face and muscular upper body of Sam Worthington onto those legs. It is this heartbreaking authenticity that brought an invisible emotional weight from the very first minutes, making the later desire of Jake to run and jump again become more explosive than ever. Confess, did any of you ever slap your thigh in praise, saying the shriveled leg CGI is too top-notch, just like I did? After receiving this super subtle trick, I naturally feel a deep respect for the filmmaking mindset of Hollywood masters, right? 2. The director threatened to fire the entire studio board of directors. Do you think your boss is scary? Try working with James Cameron. Back in the years before Avatar was released, the big bosses at 20th Century Fox were sweating bullets when they saw the movie runtime was too long. They feared American audiences would lose patience and demanded Cameron trim it down to make tickets easier to sell. But do you know how Jim reacted? He roared right in the faces of the board of directors, "I am the one who made Titanic. The building you guys are having this meeting in was built with Titanic money, so do not even think about telling me what to do." Oh my God, just imagine the dead silence in that meeting room at that moment. The result is clear to everyone. The studio obediently gave in, and we got a complete masterpiece. Honestly, how many people on this planet dare to use a billion-dollar movie to intimidate their big bosses and win so heavily? If it were you, would you dare to slam the table of your boss like that? 3. It took up to 47 hours to render one frame. Have you ever gone crazy just sitting and watching the progress bar slowly inch forward while waiting to export a short video or download a game? Now take a deep breath and listen to this. To create the magnificent botanical scenes of Pandora, the visual effects team had to use a massive server farm with tens of thousands of processors running at full capacity. However, for the most complex frames, that super machine still had to strain itself for 47 hours just to finish rendering exactly one single frame. Remember that 1 second on screen requires 24 frames. Try doing a little math, you will see how crazy the amount of time poured into this movie is. The filmmakers truly exhausted their strength to bring us a visual masterpiece. Next time you complain about your home network lagging a bit, remember the technicians who languished waiting for nearly 2 days for 1/24th of a second of this movie. 4. Unobtainium is not a made-up word. Back in 2009, I remember many critics and audiences laughing their heads off when hearing the mineral name unobtainium. I mean, it sounds exactly like a silly name hastily made up by some lazy 5-year-old boy unobtainable thing. But it turns out, the ones who made the biggest fools of themselves were us. James Cameron is not lazy at all. He is a true science nerd. In the real aerospace engineering industry, unobtainium is a completely serious, specialized term. Engineers use it to name ideal materials, possessing characteristics so perfect they are almost fictional to solve design problems, but do not actually exist on the surface of the Earth. The fact that Cameron integrated a dry technical term into a sci-fi blockbuster proved his highly academic filmmaking mindset. Has anyone ever accidentally laughed at this name and now feels a bit embarrassed, like me? Confess now. 5. The Blue Na'vi are from the dream of the director mother. Do you think the legendary design of the Na'vi race was born from the intense internal meetings of top Hollywood art directors? Completely wrong. The greatest inspiration in cinema sometimes stems from the most simple and private things. The story goes, the mother of James Cameron told him about an incredibly strange dream of hers. In that chaotic subconscious, she saw a woman with brilliantly blue skin towering at nearly 3 meters tall, moving gracefully. That fleeting dream of his mother pinned itself tightly into the mind of the director for decades, until he turned it into a global cultural icon. It is heartwarming to think that the most brilliant cinematic figure of the decade originated from the murmuring tale of a mother at the dining table. Have you ever had a wild dream and thought that maybe one day it would become a billion-dollar script? Looking back at these 15 pieces, we can clearly see that the magic of Avatar comes not only from visual effects, but from the sweat, mistakes, and human hearts behind the lens. More than a decade later, the overwhelming feeling of seeing Pandora for the first time remains intact. Which secret surprised you the most today? Please stick around and share your memories of watching the movie in 2009 in the comments section. I am really looking forward to reading them. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and see you next time.